Did you make it to the free comic day?
No, I didn't make it.
I got some free comics for you. Hold on. Yeah, my name is Kwon. I'm the owner of BulletProof Comics, and we've been in the Flatbush area for 33 years. Well, I was a film student at Brooklyn College, and I couldn't make it in the film industry. You know, I just couldn't break in. I was doing a lot of PA work, and I thought, because I wanted to be a cinematographer and an editor, and I thought I had the basic talents, and I thought I had a vision, but then I found out quickly that it's not what you know, it's who you know in the film industry. So when I couldn't really break in, I decided, all right, I got to do something else to make a living. So comics, I was a huge collector. I was a reader, I was a collector, and I just loved the medium. It seemed like a natural thing. Because actually, when I was very young, much younger, before I went to college, I actually had a restaurant, and it failed in a year. And it had a traumatic effect on me, because I didn't enjoy the job either. It was very difficult. And when it failed, as it was failing, I just happened to run into my friend's store on Utica Avenue. It was called the Outer Limits, who opened the store with my collection. And I thought to myself, wow, that's a really fun business. So that stayed with me in the back of my mind. And like about 5 years later, I opened the store. The mission of the store is like we're like a safe haven for kids. So this area used to be a little bit more dangerous. It's really nice now, but it used to be the hood. And there was no other stores around here. We were like, there was no Target, there was no big mall. It was just us in a parking lot. And there was a lot of fights outside and a lot of bad things going on. So when kids came in here, they could escape. They knew they were safe. So if any of the bad elements came in, we would kick them out. And whenever they were here, they could make their imagination roam and just imagine things and pretend, one day they could become an artist or, write a story. It really kept them in a little bit of straight and narrow and gave them a little bit of a release. Well, it's not easy. It's very difficult. Well, the juice bar I was kind of forced into it about 2 years ago because one of the major stores in the area, it was a bakery called Lord's Bakery, and they were here about 45 years, and they closed up overnight. So when that happened, I felt like I was next. And I just started thinking about how all the rents are going up significantly. So I said, I have to put something in here that has nothing to do with comic books or toys that would bring in a brand new audience. And since I was next to a gym, a very busy gym, I said, let me try a juice bar. I did some research and I put it in, and it seems to be working. All right, so I have a story for you guys. So about maybe 10 years ago, we have a weekly Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in the back every Sunday. So we have regular group of guys. This one gentleman comes in. He's a college, your age, and he comes in once in a while, maybe 3 times a year. So he comes in, he hangs out, he talks to me a little bit. He goes, "Hey, Hank." I said, "Yeah." "Hey, can I shoot my movie here?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I'm very receptive to film students. I want to help them out. So he goes, "Oh, thanks." So next day, a crew of 12 people come in. All professionals with professional equipment, and they're from a film studio. I said, "Oh, hey, guy, what's going on?" He goes, "Oh, the film director said we could shoot a movie here." I said, "Who?" And then he dawned on me. It was the gentleman that was playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and he couldn't be more than 20 years old. And his name was Stephen Bristol, and he shot the opening scene to a Netflix movie called See You Yesterday. It was about time travel, still on Netflix. We have to close the store for 4.5 days. and we got paid very handsomely. And I'm in the movie, and the store is very prominent in the movie, but it all ended up on the cutting room floor. So we still got paid. If you watch the movie, they keep mentioning the store. I'll meet you at Bulletproof. We'll do this at Bulletproof. We'll play Yu-Gi-Oh at Bulletproof. But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny because in my mind, I thought he was shooting a student film, but it was a big feature from Netflix. Yeah, big budget. My favorite comic of all time is Daredevil by Frank Miller. He's the reason actually I have a comic shop. So when I was very young, I was probably maybe 11, and I used to buy my comics from a pharmacy, and it was a spindle, and they would just have random comics there. And I happened to pick up an issue of Daredevil, and the cover just struck me. I never read Daredevil before, but the cover was so like impactful. Like there was a character called Elektra, and she was holding a sai, and on the sai was a mask, only the mask of Daredevil. So I'm thinking, man, I hope the story is as good as the cover, because the cover just told an incredible story. So I bought it, and I was kind of cynical. I didn't think it was going to be that good. I went home and read it. It was so cinematic. It was so incredible. I had to run back to the store. I said, hey, do you have the back issues? And they said, what's the back issue? I said, you know, back issues, the issues before. This was issue 179 of Daredevil. And I asked them, do you have 178, 176? So I could follow the story. And they said, no, we give it back to the company or we throw it out. So I said, oh man, I'm in a dilemma. So I went to school. I went to school the next day, and I told my friends about the dilemma. And they said, oh, you have to go to a comic shop. So the comic shops would carry back issues. So I searched for a comic shop in my area, and I found it, and I found the back issues. And I've been a fan of Frank Miller and Daredevil ever since. And that's one of the reasons, actually the reason that I have a shop.